Viewers, the latest news about the ongoing conflict between Ethiopia, Tigray, and Eritrea is that at this time heavy fighting is going on many fronts in the Tigray region. Especially intense fighting is continues in the areas of Tigray region situated near Eritrea-Tigray border. And here, Eritrean Defense Force and Ethiopian National Defense Force fighting against Tigray Defense Force. But reportedly, now Tigray Defense Force launched a counter-offensive against Ethiopian National Defense Force and its allies. The latest reports received from several reliable sources that Tigray Defense forces are in full control from Adigarat to Zalambisa area where fighting is going on. Well, if you remember, in previous video I informed you that the Eritrean Defense Force and Ethiopian National Defense Force arrived in Adigarat 2 days ago and gained full control on Adigarat city. But after successive attacks by the Tigray Defense Force, the Eritrean Defense Forces and Ethiopian National Defense Force were driven back to the front lines of the war in Zalambisa. And on the other hand, the Tigray Defense Force attacked the allied forces between Axum and Adwa city, which stopped the Eritrean Defense Force and Ethiopian National Defense Force soldiers that were heading to that side and the eastern region of Tigray. A counter-offensive by Tigray Defense Force has basically cut off and trapped hundreds of Eritrean Defense Force and Ethiopian National Defense Force soldiers in a strategic sector. And many battles are going on in the Adwa area as confirmed by senior officials and many reliable sources, which is a challenge for the Ethiopian National Defense Force and Eritrean Defense Force to advance. This Commander-in-Chief for Tigray Defense Force General Tadise says Ethiopian government should withdraw Eritrean forces for peace to be attainable. And briefing the media, the commander says there is no strategic train his forces left. And General Tadise added that Tigray Defense Forces have effectively crushed elements of Eritrea forces coming in the direction Gandavita to control Havizan. Viewers, on the other hand, there are some updates about the ongoing Tigray-Ethiopia peace talks this week in South Africa. Which Ethiopia's Abiy Ahmed boxed himself in. And when African Union-led peace talks were announced and quickly cancelled earlier this month, the idea was not to have a genuine process, but instead to give Ethiopia time to capture key cities in Tigray and force a Tigrayan surrender. While Moussa Faki and Obasanjo were not serious about Tigray-Ethiopia talks, Uhuru Kenyatta and the United States seized on the opening and created a real process while the African Union is nominally running the show. The United States is quarterbacking. And over the past week, enormous pressure has been placed on Abiy Ahmed, particularly by the United States, to agree to an immediate cessation of hostilities, despite the pro-war propaganda. The battleground is not in Ethiopia or Eritrea's favor. Particularly in the past few days, while Ethiopia and Eritrea captured Shire, Axum, and Adwa, they were struggling to hold Axum and Adwa, and they have not advanced into Adigarat or Mekelle. Why does this matter? First, Tigray forces have strategically reoriented outside of key urban areas. They are adept in mobile warfare, while this shift is resulting in immense human suffering, and Tigray is essentially encircling the encirclers. And secondly, today is a crucial day in the talks. The Ethiopia and Tigray delegations are expected to share parliamentary proposals for an immediate cessation of hostilities. And the expectation is that by Sunday there will be an agreement. A session would ensure stop infighting, return to defensive postures, and humanitarian aid, while Ethiopia and Tigray would be parties to such an agreement. It does not answer the Eritrea and Amhara questions. If Ethiopia and Tigray were to stop fighting and return to defensive postures, negotiators and mediators would need to iron out what expectations would be placed on Eritrea and Amhara to also withdraw from Tigray. Does Ethiopian force them? Or does Tigray take matters into its own hands? While Abe, Faki, and Obasanjo began this as a futile effort, and they have boxed themselves into a legitimate process in large part due to Kenyatta, backed by the United States. Abe is running out of diplomatic and military runaway. And since Abe cannot capture all of Tigray or eliminate Tigray People Liberation Front, he will either be forced into a session of hostilities or go rogue and double down. If talks fail this week, the consequences for all will be immense, and if they succeed, civilians will be able to breathe. But there's still an imbalance in authority. While Tigray has sent senior decision maker led by Getachew, and Ethiopia's delegation continues to tell mediators they cannot act without consulting their superior. Mekonnen, the lead Ethiopian negotiator, is still absent. And the talks in South Africa are different from the covert talks Mike Hammer and Python in Djibouti, and this is a public process. There are many more witnesses in the room. There's also an expectation for an actual document, an agreement. What's frustrating and heartbreaking is the slow pace of peace. With more than 5 lakh Tigrayans have died in this awful war that has lasted nearly 2 years, and millions have suffered. Had the United States acted earlier and forced a peace process, we would not be here right now. And more thoughts and updates soon. All eyes on South Africa. This is the latest news so far. For more latest update, please subscribe channel. Thanks for watching.